All right, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the Dunk Talk podcast. I know it's been a while. It's been around 2 weeks since I've been able to get a podcast. The reason for that has just been because I've been really busy with traveling and stuff, and I just haven't been able to get people to come on the podcast. Well, I have, but I've just been, times haven't matched up with each other. So today we're back. Obviously, I do not have a guest today, but I'm going to be talking about Dunk Camp, coming up next week. So a very exciting time, and I'm just going to be going over what I have done in my training since last dunk camp, and it should be a really fun episode because I get to talk to you guys about literally everything I got going on since last year. So there's a ton of stuff on here, ton of stuff that I've done that was different than past years. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of compare and contrast what I've done this year and how it has impacted my jumping throughout that time. So let's get right to it. So first of all, we'll start with last dunk camp, June 2023, and at that time I was working with Jordan Kilgannon on his jump program, and I was doing pretty well. I was decently consistent with the workouts. I wasn't doing everything correctly. My knee pain wasn't amazing. To be honest, it wasn't because of him or the program. It was just because I was not following what it said. So I was doing okay. Like my lifts were pretty good. I was feeling pretty good, but I was also in the middle of AAU. If you don't know what AAU is because you don't live in the United States or something, AAU is basically just summer basketball, club basketball, kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I was playing a ton of basketball multiple times a week, and then tons of games on the weekends, obviously, and that was really detrimental to my jumping. For those of you who don't know, because I've had to explain this to quite a few people, obviously, if jumping high isn't really your priority, then I understand why people don't understand this. But basically, the more that you play basketball, the worse it can be for your vertical. It's like a spectrum. So basically, if you are just starting out jumping, like if you're just not good at jumping, then basketball can actually help your vertical because you're just doing something that is stimulating your legs and whatever, and that can actually help with your jumping. But once you get to like an elite vertical, obviously I'm not like an elite vertical, but once you get pretty good vertical, it can actually be detrimental because it just kills your CNS and just really gets you really fatigued. So that's kind of where I was at. But I went to dunk camp with pretty low expectations just because of how fatigued I was. But I actually did pretty good. I tested a 37.5-inch vertical, lower than I thought I was going to get. But my standing reach increased, and I didn't really account for that. So I tested 37.5, touched 11 feet. That was pretty good. And I hit all my regular dunks. I don't know if I hit any new dunks, but I hit, some windmills on 911, 910.5, and it was a lot of fun, obviously. And then I ended up winning the 9-foot contest, too, which was great. And the year before that, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was in the 8-foot contest, and I lost. So it was really cool to win that. Basically, as soon as I got back from dunk camp, after seeing everyone and whatever, I was just super motivated to train again. And so I was training a lot harder, but the only problem was I was still in AAU, and I just didn't have the energy to train the way that I wanted to train, which was super frustrating, and it led to a lot of knee pain and other problems. But some notable things when I got back in July, so dunk camp was in June. In July, I started the Minnesota Dunk Squad. I guess I'm kind of the founder, but there was a lot of people that helped me, obviously. Shout out Jason, Justin, J Rob, Gideon were the original guys. Then obviously we got Johan, Rich, Will, a bunch of other guys now. So yeah, that's kind of when it started. Was in July. We started having sessions, and those group sessions were great. They really helped me push myself. In the first few group sessions, I was just doing one handers, two handers, and then as we got more sessions, I went from like basically being the worst to like not to like compare myself to their guys, like, but one of the best now. Um, and I think that the reason for that wasn't because it was just because it was like it's like friendly competition, right? So when I dunk with people that are better than me, I typically tend to have a really good session. When I jump with people that are worse than me, I it's not like that much of an it's not doesn't help me that much. But jumping with anyone, I should say this: when I jump by myself, I tend to not jump amazing. I jump pretty well still sometimes. When I jump with one person or a couple people that are not as good as me, I jump a little bit better just because there's more people, but I don't jump like my best. But the best jumping days are when I'm jumping with people that are better than me. So for those people for me are like Will, Gideon, Hunter, basically just there's a ton of people that I dunk with that are better than me, which is a great problem to have because they push me to improve and it's super fun. So yeah, I mean that was really beneficial to me that Minnesota Dunk Squad starting up. And it was just yeah, it was great. I got a lot of sessions with those guys. I got to go to a lot of cool gyms, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. But obviously, again, I wasn't training the way I wanted to, and so during all of July, I was in AAU, and I was just super tired all the time. In August, from August to around November, I was low rimming a lot. Obviously, low rimming is just dunking on low rims a lot. And that was very beneficial because it was just helping me. I hadn't low rimmed in a long time because of basketball and stuff. So it really helped me get my hand speed back and to where it is today. My hand speed is the best it's ever been. In August, I got to go to Boston just for like a little family vacation thing. And I met up with Artem. We had a really good session in Boston. During that time, I wasn't able to train though, which was kind of sucky, but at least I got to jump. That's obviously the best thing I could do. So when I got back, this is when I started to train a little bit better, but I was training myself is the thing. So I hopped off Jordan Kilgannon's thing because I was going to like a personal trainer and that was good, but then it kind of got shut down. So I was just training myself and I didn't even consider hopping on another program. I don't know why. I just was like, oh, I'll do it eventually. And I just never ended up doing it. So I was writing my own training. And the thing about writing my own training is that I'm actually like I have some knowledge. I have knowledge about jumping training, obviously, but it wasn't amazing. Like I didn't really periodize things. I was just kind of doing the same workouts over and over, and I saw progress. But if I would have continued to do it, um, it would have stopped. So in September, I had my first session here at the National Sports Center with Hunter. If you guys don't know Hunter, he's from Wisconsin. He's been on the podcast quite a few times, and that was my best session ever. I mean, it was like he was one of the best, probably the best dunker I had dunked with at the time, like outside of dunk camp. I don't know. And we had a really good session. I hit like 4 new dunks. It was super cool. Jumped my highest ever for sure. And I almost got an East Bay at that point. So that's when I kind of started East Bay hunting. So I was back rimmed a couple there, and that was just really, really fun day. So after that session, me and Hunter were talking a lot. We're still amazing friends to this day. And we were just talking a lot about like when is the next time we can do this. And we kind of decided on the date of, mid to late October. And so I was training that entire time, literally just thinking about mid to late October. Like I need to get myself right for that date. And I was training good. It wasn't perfect training, but I was doing stuff and I was doing it consistently, which was great. And I was low rimming a lot, so my technique was dialed in. So then Hunter comes on October 20th, 21st, and then we dunked. Yeah, we dunked on the 21st, so 2 days before my 16th birthday, and it was by far the best session I've ever had. It was me, Hunter, Gideon, and J-Rob, and I hit a 360 windmill. My second 360 windmill, I hit like 5 new dunks again, double up windmill, reverse pump, and then some other stuff that I can't remember. And then I obviously hit my first East Bay that day too, which was by far the best dunk I had ever done. Still one of my best, probably my best moment in my dunking career, which is just insane. So yeah, that was insanely fun. Best dunking day, probably my favorite session I've been a part of still, which is crazy to think about since it was last October. And literally right after that, I started talking to Tom and Austin. They were kind of recruiting for their jump program, and we decided that it was time for me to hop on. So I hopped on Jump X with Tom and Austin as my coaches, and since then, I've been training with them. But yeah, we're still in October, so I'll keep talking about October. October was my last good session of the entire year. The rest of that year, 2023, was just rough. Like in November, I started playing basketball a lot more because basketball tryouts were at the end of that month. And I remember at the start of November, I went to a little workout tryout for some AAU team, some really pretty good AAU team that I was considering playing for this summer. And at the end of that, it was like 2 hours long. I was playing basketball for like 2 hours, and at the end, I was just dunking on what was probably like 910 and a half. And I hit a windmill first try, hit a 360 windmill first try, and then I tried to hit an East Bay, and I was like super close, and I only tried it like 3 or 4 times. So that's kind of when I was like oh my gosh, like I'm like consistently almost East Baying and I'm not even like training correctly, which was just insane to think about. But then it all kind of went downhill. So we will get into that. Um, Start of high school basketball was in November, late November, obviously. And it was like the tryouts were 4 days in a row, 2 a days. So it was like, it was morning, we'd go and we'd play basketball for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we'd have school. And then after school, we'd go back, play for another hour and a half, 2 hours. So 4 days straight of that. And then obviously after that, right after that, the season started. We had practice 5 days a week, games another 1 to 2 days a week. So I was just dead. Like this is the most basketball I had ever done for sure. Tons of running, tons of cardio. Not good for my vertical, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, during that year, it was one of my best basketball years so far. It was a lot of fun. But I mean, yeah, it was it was rough, man. December was probably my worst jumping ever. I didn't even really do sessions. I did some jumps like after practice that were decent sometimes, but a lot of the time my jumping was just terrible. So on January 2nd, I had a dunk session. I figured that if I was playing basketball 5 days a week, which was just every weekday, then on Sundays I could technically jump, and it worked. Like I would basically play basketball Monday through Friday, rest Saturday, and jump Sunday. So my jump sessions were not good, but they weren't like the most fatigued ever. Like I had a little bit of rest, but it was still not a ton. So yeah, January 2nd, I hit my second East Bay. Felt really good to be able to hit another one, especially after like going so long and like not even like I just felt like I wasn't close at all. And then I finally got one, so that was really nice. Um, yeah, so I finally got that done. And then in late January, it's like January 20, like late January, I had my best session to date. And it was basically I just went to the gym, was feeling super bouncy, and there was no real reason for it. I mean, I had started to train a little bit more, and I should mention that at this time I'm on Jump X with Tom and Austin, but I'm barely training. Like I'm lifting maybe 1 or 2 days a week because if I did any more than that, my knees would just scream at me, and it was a really rough time. So I'm barely lifting. I'm doing a ton of basketball, and on January 28th, maybe, I hit between the legs. I hit one of my best reverse pump ever. Like I brought it like all the way down, brought it all the way down. I had an insane one hander, and I just felt amazing. Like I literally felt like I was jumping like 40 plus, and I might have been jumping close to 40 that day, but like 39 to 40. And I'm gonna start putting vertical estimates on these days too, because yeah, like I think that that's very important. Because again, I was jumping 37 and a half at dunk camp last year, so on these days, I'm dunking like easily. Like I'm doing these like my best dunk at last camp was like a windmill, and on these days I'm windmilling like super easily. So yeah, in early February I had a session with Gideon, and it was that was definitely my no, it wasn't my best. The also I should say I said that wrong. The session before that one I was just talking about was not my best dunk session. It was my best jumping day. Um, so I should have mentioned that. But in February with Gideon, I had arguably my best session ever. I hit basically all my best dunks, and I also hit a double up East Bay. So that was insane. Like I had literally just learned how to do that dunk like 2 weeks before, and then I just crushed it in that session. Still haven't hit it again since then. So that was amazing, and that's when I kind of started to like adapt um, to the training load that I was on. Like all that basketball was just insane, and I wasn't used to playing that much because I was not playing that much. Like October, I took a really long break from cardio, so getting back into that cardio just killed me. And this is when I finally started to kind of adapt to that, and then just start jumping good on Sundays. So yeah, I mean, I hit double up East Bay, 360 windmill, reverse pump, windmill, all this crazy stuff. It was just an amazing day. And right around this time, basketball ended. So to conclude my basketball season, I had 5 in-game dunks. It was like two two-handers on a fast break. I had one one-hander on a fast break. One of my teammates threw the ball off the backboard on a fast break, and I caught it and one-handed it. And then I like had a baseline drive and like dunked on some dude. So 5 pretty good in-game dunks. considering I had only had like a couple before that. So that was a really good season for dunking anyway. On March 2nd, I had my first session after basketball season ended. So I was rested, not fully rested, but I was definitely less fatigued. And this was a group session at the lab with all the Minnesota Dunker guys, or almost all the Minnesota Dunker guys, but specifically Gideon and Will, who really pushed me since they are really insane dunkers, especially Will. I had never seen him dunk in person before. This is my first time seeing Will. If you guys want to go check him out, Will over skill training. Crazy dunker. So yeah, we had another good session that day. Hit all my regular dunks, and then I had another East Bay, so that was my fourth East Bay, I'm pretty sure, and that was a really good day. And I didn't even feel like that amazing, and I was still East Bay, so that's kind of when I was like, okay, this is getting more consistent. The week after that session, I went to the Dominican Republic on a family vacation with some friends, and it was fun. It was definitely fun, but I did not train at all during that time. I had two dunk sessions. One was like the day after I got there, and then one was like the day before I left. And they were both solid sessions, but the court situation was terrible, and it was just crazy. It's so hot out there too. I had like not enough water, no shade at all, so it was rough, and that kind of set me back a little bit. But it was also kind of a good reset, um, and like not even for just like life. It was more just a good reset for lifting. Like I didn't really do much. The only thing is, it would have been better if I didn't eat terribly. So if I would have, you know, eaten a little cleaner, that would have been a lot better. But it worked out. After I got back from the DR, that's when I was like, really, it was like, I was like, all right, it's time to lock in because I just took a week break and I have a ton of stuff coming up that I need to be prepared for. And at this time, I was also talking to Hunter again about another session. We were planning on late March. And so, yeah, we decided March 30th was the day we were going to do it. And that would be our third session together. And we tried to get a bunch of people for that. A lot of people bailed last minute. But yeah, so during that whole time, I'm just preparing for that March 30th session. And by the way, like before the DR, I was actually lifting properly and like doing all the training. During when I was in the DR, didn't do anything. When I came back, I was doing everything, and I also started implementing midweek sessions, which was basically on Wednesdays. I would jump. My normal dunk sessions were on Saturdays, but I also started jumping on Wednesdays, just doing low rim to just get more jumping reps because my knees were starting to feel a lot better now that I had cut basketball out of my load. And that helped me a ton because it was rough at the start because I wasn't jumping as good because I had to adapt to it. But now that I'm adapted to it, I've been doing it since whatever it was, March, and it's June. I've adapted to it very well, and I'm jumping a lot better, and my hand speed is way better because of it. So that is just great. I'm so glad that I decided to do that. Um, yeah, it's great. So, yeah, I was just preparing all of March for that March 30th session. And yeah, I was actually doing the lifting properly around that time. No, I think it was after it. But yeah, all my numbers started to get back up to like my peak numbers in the weight room. 185 power clean was almost to that. I was not squatting as much as I normally would because I was trying to build back up my squat. My form was really messed up. It was like hinging at my back and all this stuff. So I was trying to fix that. But yeah, March 30th, had my session with Hunter. Hunter, Gideon, Sage, and J Rob, I believe, was the lineup. I don't think I'm missing anyone. I hope not. But that was a really good day. I hit all my regular dunks, and I hit another East Bay. I don't know if I hit any new dunks that day, actually. I assume I hit like maybe one new dunk, but it wasn't like my best session ever, but it was just really fun, obviously, to get back together with Hunter and for another session and hit another East Bay. So obviously a good day whenever I do that. So after that, I'm still just training a lot, like very hard and a lot of volume as well. So yeah, it's like I'm training a lot, which is good for my vertical, but it's also bad for my vertical. It's like delayed gratification. Like I'm doing it and it's not necessarily benefiting me in the meantime, but it definitely has benefited me now. So during that time, my sessions were not amazing because I was just doing so much heavy loading. And it was super hard on my vertical at the time, but it's a lot better now, so it's okay. Um, so yeah, during that time, I mean, I'm just training super hard and just doing a lot of load. My squats started to get back up. I kind of figured out my form, so I was building my squat back up. I think I got to like 225 on the first week of like actually being able to half squat properly, and then next week I was like up to like 265. Then I was at 285, and I was at 300, and that was for 3 reps too. So I did 300 for 3 reps eventually, and then right around that time, I had a session where I decided to try caffeine for the first time. So I tried. I don't even remember what it was called. I keep forgetting the name of it, but I've had it a couple times. It's like 200 milligrams of caffeine, just an energy drink. And first of all, do not recommend doing it. It's not like the best thing you can do, but it will definitely, boost you temporarily. So I had a session with caffeine, and it was my best jumping day to date at the time. I had one height check where it literally looked like my head was at the rim. It's partially the angle, but it was just crazy jumping day. Hit another East Bay, and I was super close to a slingshot, a behind the back. Had like my best 360 East Bay attempt ever at the time. Wasn't amazing, but it just felt crazy. Hit my first off dribble windmill. Got super close to what was it? Between the legs off dribble. Had a really close between legs off the backboard attempt. So it was just a crazy day. Tried a bunch of new stuff, and it was just great. So, I kind of decided after that point that I wasn't going to take caffeine every week, just because again I know it's not amazing for you, but a lot of dunkers do take it. Um, so I kind of just went off of it for a while, and I was waiting to try it again when I went to Winona later in the month. So again, during this time, I am just really, really heavy loading, and I was squatting like 300 every week now. I got my power clean up to 185 for 3, I think. It was crazy. Um, and my sessions between that day and late April were not amazing, but I still got stuff done. Like I did all my regular dunks. I was getting at this point I had like cuff windmill, and reverse pump like really consistent. So those were kind of like the dunks that I hit every session. That was really fun. So then in Winona, I drove like what was it like 2.5 hours to Winona. Um, I live in Minnesota. It's just like 2.5 hours to the right or something. Kind of close to Wisconsin, and I was with Justin for sure. I was with Will again, so that was my second time dunking with Will. Um, and then a bunch of other guys from the Winona Dunk Squad. Definitely go check that out. Hopefully get Justin on this podcast soon to talk about how they started that little club. It's super cool. So yeah, I mean during that session we jumped on 910. It was like a super floppy rim, so it just felt insane. I hadn't dunked on lower than 910 and a half in forever, and even that half-inch difference just felt insane. And the rim was super soft, so like if you got it on top of the rim, basically went in. Um, During that session, I hit the only new dunk I hit was a slingshot, but 910, so I don't really count it. No, not don't really. I just don't count it on 910. But I hit my best East Bay. Would have been my best East Bay if it wasn't 910. Take everything I say here about this session and just know that it doesn't actually count. So I hit my best East Bay. That didn't count. I hit a nice reverse pump. I hit a nice windmill off dribble. I did a off lob 360 between legs that I didn't make, but I like smacked my wrist on the rim, so that felt insane. And I just tried a bunch of crazy dunks. I really got really, really close to under both a couple times, which I was just like freaked out about because that was ridiculous. Um, so it was a really good session. And again, I had caffeine in that session too, like 200 milligrams. Um, so yeah, just a good day. When I came back, I just did a bunch of solo sessions basically, and then I had sessions on Wednesdays, and I had quite a few of them on 9/8. Um, so like 9/8 low rim sessions with some of the guys from Minnesota Dunk Squad. And at this time, I started talking to T Dub. If you don't know who T Dub is, hopefully I can get him on the podcast soon. Haven't talked to him in a minute, but T Dub is probably the best dunker ever. Well, definitely the best dunker of his time. He invented the double up. If you don't know what that is, just like when you jump over someone. and he's just been like the most influential person in the dunk game ever. Like he really started this as a sport, which is so insane that I got to talk to him and I didn't even realize, but he lives in Minnesota. So we started talking about like meeting up for a session, and unfortunately our schedules didn't completely align. But eventually, I finally got to go out, and it was like a random Thursday or a Tuesday or something. I don't even remember, but he told me that he was going up to this court, and then I could come if I wanted to. It was like a 45-minute drive, and I was like, I don't really want to go 45 minutes out of my way just to hoop, but it's T-Dub, so I figured that I had to do it to go meet up with the legend. Obviously, I hadn't seen him since 2022 at the time when I met him at dunk camp. And so we went there. We played some basketball. Um, we played some 21. We played some 3v3s, 4v4s, and then at the end we threw down some dunks. And I didn't do anything too crazy. Hit like a one-hander, two-hander, cuff windmill, but it was like not a jump day at all, so it was pretty good. And then T-Dub dunked, and Gideon was with us. Gideon did well as usual. Um, yeah, he went crazy. And T-Dub dunked, and he hit his first dunk in like a year, 2 years. I don't even remember, but it was crazy. So that was really cool. Haven't been able to get him out to any sessions recently. We live like 45 minutes from each other, which kind of sucks. But, definitely, hopefully we'll get him out to some new stuff soon. And I'll be seeing him next week at Dunk Camp anyway. So it'll be fun. So then, that was May. Between May and June, January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah. So during that time, I kind of started to unload a little bit in the weight room. Around late May, I was talking to my trainers, Tom and Austin, and I decided that around that time, I was about 167 to 168 pounds, fluctuating between like 166, 168. And I was not fat at all. I have never been fat throughout like I've had a six pack my entire dunk journey, but I was like, I wonder what it would look like if I cut down to 160 because I hadn't been 160 in quite a while. And so I decided that June 1st, I was going to start a mini cut and get down to 160 for camp. So, yeah, June 1st hits, I start trying to lose weight. Not even like really trying to lose weight, but just like not eating more than I need to really. And within like a week, I was down to like 163. And then I was a week after, so like a few days ago, I was down to 160, 161. And then I've been like fluctuating between like 161, 162 the last few days. So hopefully, I'm going to be really conscious about what I'm eating and just everything I'm doing in the next week to prepare for dunk camp because I do not want to do anything wrong and ruin my week and lose a bunch of money. But also, more importantly, the time I will get to spend with all the pros, dunkers, and just having a lot of fun. So really don't want to mess anything up. So we're going to be very cautious, obviously. But hopefully I can get down to like 159, 160. That'd be perfect. So around June 1st, like the start of June, I started to unload in the weight room a little bit. It wasn't like fully deloading, but I was just starting to do a little bit less, just freshening up a bit. It was going well. It was basically the same things I had been doing. Not the same things I had been doing, but very similar, but just a lot less volume. So like my last week, if I was doing like 6x3, I'm just making numbers up by the way. If I was doing like 6x3 back squat, last week I would do like 2x3 or 3x3. So it was still very similar weight, but just a lot less. And every session I've had in June has been insane. So one of them was June 8th. So it was like one of my first sessions in June. And I remember it because I was at the lab with Henry and J-Rob. And I'm pretty sure I took caffeine that day. I don't remember. No, I don't think I did. And basically, it was just like an insane day. I warmed up and I was just feeling amazing after unloading a bit. And then I hit a reverse pump, windmill, and then it would have been like a while since I hit the East Bay. So I was like, all right, I need to hit one today because it has been like about a month. And so literally my first attempt at an East Bay, I just punched it. And I was like, oh, there we go. It took that long, but I finally got it down. And I think the reason, probably the biggest thing besides the unloading, was that was the first week that I was under like 166. So I was probably like 163 ish. And so even those few pounds might have helped a little bit. But rest of the session was amazing. Hit another off dribble windmill. I don't know if I hit any new dunks that day now that I think about it, but I hit 2 East Bays that session. So that was my first time ever doing that. So that was really cool. And then I got super close to behind the back. And I had a pretty good 360 between the legs attempt. So that was just really fun, exciting session. The week after that, or like a few days after, I went to Portola for a graduation. The video will actually probably be going up today on YouTube. So that was fun, obviously, but I did not have a great session while I was there. Mainly because the court was like super dusty and the ball just got like super slippery. But I jumped decently. At least I got to jump and I got to train. My aunt and uncle had a weight room that I got to use, which was super nice. And yeah, like we got everything done, so it worked out well. And then I just came back. Was it 2 days ago? I think. So I got to do my Wednesday session yesterday, and it was definitely my best jumping day ever. Um, I'm not gonna say everything I did, but I will say that I put my elbow in the rim, which was just stupid. I did not think I could do that at all. I did hit it between the legs, hit a good reverse pump. Just everything I did felt insane. Best off dribble windmill too. So it was just a crazy session. It should be dropping on Saturday on my main channel if you guys want to go check it out. But yeah, it was my best day ever. I was probably jumping 42 to 43, which is just stupid. So, I mean, yeah, that was my last session. So today is, what is today? Thursday. So today is Thursday. Tomorrow will be Friday, and then I'm leaving on Saturday. So today I have a little arm workout, probably not much. Tomorrow I have nothing. Saturday I have nothing. I'm flying. And then Sunday I also have nothing. So I have like 3 rest days in a row to prepare for Monday, which is day 1 of the dunk camp. Super exciting. I'll go over some goals, I guess. Day 1 of the dunk camp, I want to dunk with the pros, obviously. Um, I don't know if I'm going to be able to because last year there was a ton of people. This year I know there's going to be even more. So hopefully I can get in on that session. Really, if I hit an East Bay, I'll be happy because I've been dunking on 9, 10 and a half a lot, which is a little bit low. And I know that all the hoops there are basically perfect 10 feet. So I have no doubt in my mind that I'll be able to East Bay. But even if I just hit one, super happy. New dunks that I want to hit are behind the back, East Bay off dribble, 360 East Bay, under both. Some of those are unrealistic. So really what I want to do is East Bay off dribble and behind the back. Those are the big 2, and scorpion that I would like to hit. Maybe inverted scorpion if I feel like it. But yeah, those are the big dunk goals that I have. And then vertical goals, I'll be testing my vertical on day 1. Realistically, anything over 40 and I'll be super happy. But I want to say 43 because for me to put my elbow in the rim, I need to touch around 11.5, maybe 11.4. And that would be 5 more inches than last year, 37.5. Plus 5 is 42.5. So we'll just round up, say 43. I hope that I can get 43. But again, anything over 40, I'll be happy with. Even like 40 on the dot, 40.5, 41. I'll be happy with that. And then I will be competing in the 10-foot contest on Thursday if I feel good. And obviously, I don't really expect to win. There's some crazy dunkers in there. Mason Baker, Hunter Castona. No idea who else is doing it, but I'm guessing that there will be some freaks in there for sure. So I'll be doing it just because I won 9 feet last year, and I don't think I need to go back and win again. Because I have no doubt in my mind that I could beat anyone in the lower rim dunk contest. Not being cocky, that's just kind of how I feel right now about my lower rimming. It's just been crazy recently. So yeah, I'll definitely be in 10 feet just because I won once. There's no reason to compete again. Also, if I lose, that'd make me look bad because I'm saying this right now. So yeah, definitely excited to do the 10-foot contest. No idea what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to brainstorm, make a little list. So yeah, I'm flying out Saturday. Super excited. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Really, this was just kind of to summarize the last 12 months of training because it's really crazy to think about all the things that I've done for the last 12 months. So yeah, super exciting time of the year. I'm basically completely unloaded now, so these rest days are going to be crazy, and I can't wait to show you guys what I got at camp. So, again, just thank you guys for watching. If you're new, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Dylan Haugen 23 Haugen, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel, Dylan Haugen, posting all my dunk sessions, a lot of my training, and then obviously I'll be posting everything at dunk camp. And I'm really fast too, so I will hopefully get the day one dunk session out like the day of, maybe the day after. I get it out before everyone else. Hopefully, that's my goal. So yeah, again, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. Leave 5 stars if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys again. Peace out.